Oh hey out there on the internet. It is time for some Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, the open world Final Fantasy VI randomizer. I'll be one of your hosts this evening, the Schwantz27. I'm joined in the commentary booth by Dwyer. Dwyer, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing fantastic. I cannot wait to be a part of this marathon submission. How about you?
I am pretty pumped to be part of the marathon submission. Our marathon submission is going for the Final Fantasy Rando Winter 2024 Marathon in support of MUSC Children's Health and the South Carolina Firefighters Burned Children's Fund. So some great causes here, and we hope to be accepted as part of the marathon to not only showcase off our game, but to give back by raising some money for some great causes. So, what is Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide? Dwyer, give us a little bit about what to expect here in this run.
Alright, so Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide is the randomizer, of course, for the Final Fantasy VI game. Lots of things are randomized: chest, espers, abilities, enemy shops. Players will start on the airship with random characters. They can go anywhere in the game, anytime, between the two worlds, World of Balance, World of Ruin. Most enemies and bosses are scaled down, so battles stay roughly fair throughout the game. XP is boosted, so the characters level up fast. We're really going to get some action. New characters and espers and other rewards are found by doing a character's checks. So while they can go anywhere in the world, some things are gated by depending on which character you have. And these checks are all relevant to the character in the original vanilla Final Fantasy VI games. For instance, if you obtain Edgar, that means that you can get something, character, esper, or high-tiered item from visiting the Figaro throne. Once the players have found a set number of characters and espers, they can go to Kefka's tower and beat the clown himself.
Yeah, so basically that is the objective of the randomizer, is to defeat Final Kefka. And in this particular set of options, we have allowed our runners to pick a few different things that they wanted to add into the game that deviates it slightly from the vanilla set of options. So in order to unlock Final Kefka, not only do we have to get 6 characters and 9 espers, but we also need to save or kill Cid, depending upon a marathon incentive. So we can use this as part of a bid war to have the audience determine what the fate of Cid is, who famously experimented on the Magitech, in the Magitech factory rather, and to watch our runners perform in the opera, that iconic scene from the vanilla game. So in addition, our runners also chose the Auto Berserk status if we win a match in the Coliseum, and the Coliseum also has all item trades being available. The items that you bet in the the Coliseum, and the rewards are randomized. Additionally, if our runners want to do the Elite River check, they will get an Illumina sword out of it. And for the other objective, if you do 2 of 5 different quests, you'll get a pair of sprint shoes. And in Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, you can have the option to have a twice as fast dash with the sprint shoes equipped. So we're definitely going to try and get some quests in order to make ourselves zoom around the map. This is a speed run after all. Our starting party, one of our runners wanted to have Umaru in the starting party, and another runner said, hey, instead of starting with 3 characters, let's start with a party of 2. So that's what we're going to see. Our character stats are randomized within 50% to 125% of their vanilla stats. Our maximum enemy scale level is going all the way up to 60, and that will be dependent upon the number of characters, espers, and dragons that we have killed. So as we accrue more characters and espers, yeah, we're getting towards our Final Kefka objective to unlock him. However, the enemies are also going to increase their levels. So it's not location-based scaling like it is in some other randomizers. Everybody can wear everything. That's 100% of equipable items in the equipable pool. And this is one of my favorite flags. Chests, 5% of them will result in a monster in a box fight. So we're going to see our runners loot some chests in the beginning of the game just to see what they have, because as Dwyer said, the contents of the chests are randomized, but beware, sticking your hand in the wrong cookie jar will cause a random fight. As well as no elemental rods will show up in shops That's just in order to make the game not extremely easy for our runners to break rods the entire seed. Did I miss anything there?
No, I don't think so. I'm just really excited about that auto berserk. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so there are ways to mitigate the auto berserk with some relics. Berserk in Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide gives your characters some increase of offensive damage, so we'll see if any of our runners decide that status where you can't control your character but they're going to hit a little bit harder is going to be worth it here. We do also start with Umaro, so why don't you tell us a little bit about what the areas of the game Umaro open up for us?
Okay, so Amaro has mainly one check, and that's going to be his cave up in the mountains of Narsh. Now, the interesting thing about Umaro is you can kind of peek that a little bit in the world of Balance Narsh and see whether it's going to be a character. Or you could get down there and it's going to be an Esper or an item. So you never know what you're going to get if you don't see that character.
Yeah, we're going to wait to see if our runners go and peek the cave at the beginning of the game. So, what are we going to see when our runners hit New Game? They will have access to the airship and can go anywhere. And what normally happens is runners will go around and see exactly what the seed has for offer. We do have Shadow as our second character, and his ability is X Magic. Not necessarily a great one because we need to have some magic spells in order to use it, but Drinks Glue is already giving us one of our first Shadow checks here, so let's see exactly what Shadow has got for us here.
Oh yes, can't wait. And then it looks like Taco Mage is going to be going to...
Yeah, so one of the quests in order to get the sprint shoes is to pass the security checkpoint. So that's what this is right here. He has to go and follow the light around in order to do one of those 5 quests that we mentioned. So he could either do it or he could do it in the speed run way and just keep hitting the A button the entire time. But it looks like he's actually going to go ahead and do it the intended way, I will say, because there's definitely a way that the developers wanted you to do it, and then there's the speedrun way where you just hit A as soon as the star happens. Happening in the other screen here, Drinks Glue did pick up a Force Armor from one of Shadow's checks with Gao Manor. Where else can we go with Shadow in order to get a reward here?
Well, we can always go to the Veld Cave in World of Ruin. Now, the nice thing about that is it is kind of peekable. You can see whether it's going to be an Esper, a character, or a NPC sprite laying on the ground. The other thing that opens up is the Floating Continent, which is a very long check, but there are 3 different ways that you can get progression up there. It's a definite character or Esper at the very end when you jump off back onto the airship. There is a chance for an Esper or an item at the Atma right before Kefka and Gestal start messing with the statues. And then of course there's the one as soon as you land that can either be an Esper or a character. Now, there's going to be 3 different boss fights in there, so it is rather long, but it can be very rewarding.
Yeah, so there are what we call fixed encounters on the way into the floating continent, and there are some when we're on the floating continent as well. One thing you will notice is our runners don't really have to fear the random battles, and that's because we do give everybody 3 Moogle Charms, 1 for each party in Kefka's Tower, which will avoid those random encounters. You could take them off if you don't want to have that property and you do want to take a random encounter. As we see, Drinks Glue gets his hand caught in the cookie jar here that we mentioned earlier. Thankfully, this is a pretty easy mob to fight, though.
Now, wait a second here. Isn't it a little late for trick-or-treating? I feel like this is what this is. You got the trick, though.
Yeah, so we'll see if any of our other runners trip over this, because this is a spot that is pretty well frequented in the early game, because there are, I think, 9 chests in the Returner's hideout, as well as an item shop. All of the items and shops are shuffled amongst themselves, and there is a 20% chance that an item is swapped out with a random one. And I believe Taco Mage showed us that it was not a character up at the Umaro Cave. Is that correct?
I was actually looking at that monster in the box, and I did not see, unfortunately.
All right.
So it's going to be a surprise for us, too.
Oh, a second monster. Hello. The Returners hideout is just full of goodies here today. Unfortunately, we are using regular dice, not fixed dice, which is why the damage rolls are a little low, but that one actually happened to help take out that Mad Oscar there. And thankfully, our enemies at the moment, if we could do some math on stream, I know math on stream is not a good idea. However, doing some math on stream gives us that our enemies are level 4 right now. Since we have 2 characters, 0 espers and 0 dragons, 2 times 2 is 4. So that's the level of our enemies. Thankfully, they're pretty low because we are only level 3. And getting off of level 3 is one of the most important parts of the early part of the game here.
Which brings up a good point. So scaling in this seems to be, is it the same as the Ultros League, which is the Final Fantasy Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide League? Is it the same as that?
That is correct. It is the number of characters you've recruited, the number of espers you've found, the number of dragons you've slain, add those all up, and then times that by 2. And that is the level, HP, and MP, and XP and GP that our monsters will give us. So Drinks Glue taking on both of those fights is already on level 8, and we do see 1 free fits as well, taking care of both of those monster in a boxes. So we're going to continue on here. Oh, nice spike in a chest, and at a weapon. We're not going to see that pay off for a very long time, though.
Yes, but it's there. It's going to be in the back of their minds, for sure.
All right, so Drinks Glue finding some peace rings, which are really, really nice, especially in this flag set, because peace rings will negate the effects of Berserk as one of the relics. So in Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, the properties of the different items, like the different weapons, the different relics, those are all of the same that they are in the vanilla game. So you're not going to get crazy stat rolls on different weapons, or you're not going to get different properties on different relics. So our runners do need a lot of Final Fantasy VI vanilla game knowledge, as well as knowledge about the randomizer, you know, some of the things that Dwight and I were talking about, like what is at this check? Can we peek it to see what the reward is before we go do it? Stuff like that. So our runners will be doing both. And unfortunately, Taco Mage does not have anything to clear that poison damage. So I'm going to look away from his screen for a little bit before I throw up.
Yep. That was making me a little dizzy too. And it looks like that shop did not have anything but remedies, which he couldn't afford. So we're going to be seeing that for a little while.
Well, I do not want some pixelation in my pixelation. So we're going to focus on Drinks Glue, who is at yet another town here. So this is South Figaro. There are a lot of chests down here. Who knew? Rich guys' basements have lots of stuff. So we'll see what exactly is in here.
Now, the nice thing about South Figaro is the outside chest in the actual town. They kind of replenish themselves between the World of Ruin and the World of Balance, so you kind of get twice the goodies for one town.
So double dipping is acceptable in Worlds Collide. Just don't try and do that at a party, folks. And oh boy, this is a really rough fight here for Drinks Glue. These guys have very high magic defense, and they have very high physical attacks, as well as that monster that kind of has wings, and has an arm that looks like it's sticking out of the back of its head. The art in this game is weird. He does lots of level lore attacks, like level 4 Flare, level 3 Muddle, level 5 Doom. So if you fail your math test, then that enemy will definitely be on it. All right, so yet more pixelation. Let's head on over to One Free Fits, who did also find some peace rings in the shop there. So given the fact that we've got peace rings, we have an Umaro start, and we have 255 out of 255 possible items revealed in the list. Dwyer, would you be going to the Coliseum?
Oh my goodness, I would definitely be going to a Coliseum. I love a good Coliseum play.
Yeah, so the thing that's fun about the Coliseum, and I use fun as a loose term there, you could, or feel free to interpret fun as you want, is that you don't get to control what your character's actions are in the Coliseum. So that's why Umaro is usually pretty ideal, because all Umaro knows how to do is punch things and slam things.
And that's all he needs to do in the Coliseum.
All right, so
that's all he needs to do.
So the Tizen Thief it is a randomized purchasable reward. It is different in the World of Balance and the World of Ruin. And in the World of Balance, it's a 60,000 GP for this glowing stone. So we'll see if it's cheaper in the World of Ruin and if our runners want to go and purchase that. A couple of other odds and ends here. We do have a Rage Ring, which is a really good relic for Umaro that provides both elemental resistance with lightning, elemental absorption with fire, as well as the yeet your character. We'll turn Yeti into Yeety with the the Rage Ring there.
I see what you did there.
And we got a Thunder Shield as well in a chest, which we'll teach Bolt 2 at a 5x rate. One of the interesting things about the spells... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, but not to the Yeti.
Not to the Yeti, no. Yeti does not know how to magic. Unless we find a Blizzard Orb, then he'll know how to storm, but that's neither here nor there. So the Espers will teach random spells. They're different from the vanilla game. And the stronger the spell, the slower the learn rate is for that particular spell. So that's one of the interesting options you could do in Worlds Collide, is you could mix up all the spells, you could mix up what rates they're learned at, things like that. But in this particular set of options, we are doing better spells take longer to learn. I think that seems pretty fair.
Absolutely. Now, out of curiosity, is Ultima allowed in this flag set?
Yeah, so Ultima is the best spell in Final Fantasy VI. It's so good, in fact, that we decided, instead of having it be just completely removed from the castable pool, which you can do, it looks like Free Fitz is heading over into the auction house. So he's found some extra gold lying around somewhere and is going to try and buy himself an item here, which is one of the quests that you need to do in order to get that sprint shoes. Meanwhile, Taco Mage looks like he's going to talk to the fine citizens of Zozo to figure out what time it is on the Zozo clock. So it is not 6:10:50. It is a randomized number, and you do need to talk to these people to figure out what time it is. So essentially how you do this is everybody is lying to you. So if somebody tells you what the time is, cross it out as a possibility, and by process of elimination, you'll be able to set the clock there.
Oh, those fine folks who never lie to you, of course, right? Never.
Great people here.
Yes.
I mean, I say that about the Worlds Collide community too, but I'm actually being truthful when I say that. Great people are here.
Yeah, no sarcasm there.
Alright, so Drinks Glue is still looking around for some stuff. Meanwhile, One Free Fitz here is heading over to Thamasa, which is another town that has a couple of treasure chests, while Drinks Glue is in Albrook, giving my eyes a reason to go back to the eye doctor here. And unfortunately, Fitz gets caught in the cookie jar again.
Oh boy. So, I have a question about these Monster in a Box flags.
Yes.
So, throughout the vanilla game and throughout the Worlds Collide game, there are actual Monster in the Boxes in certain locations. In this flag set, are those mixed around too?
They are. So they're shuffled amongst themselves. So the Katana Soul monster in a box that you'd fight in the jail of the ancient castle, that is in one of the other trap chest locations, be it the classroom, or we'll maybe see one up on Floating Continent, or we might see one at the Velt Cave as well because we have access to Shadow. Or we could see one in the Yeti Cave, because that's also where another trap chest is. And there you see the speed! Zoomy Zoomy Taco Mage has got the sprint shoes from setting that Zozo clock there. So now he is going to be able to run around and loot all of these chests way faster than our other runners are.
That is the fastest Yeti I've ever seen.
Look at him go.
Whoa.
Alright, so we are going to get a little bit of a cutscene here with the Opera House, so we'll all stand for the national anthem of Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide here. This takes about 4.5 minutes to do, and yes, you can fail doing this if you don't remember what the prompts are. Yeah,
but
lots of bonking with the sprint shoes. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. They're going to come out of here with an Illumina, and that is a nice find. No, that not an Illumina. This is for unlock. I am so sorry.
Yes, that is correct. So, usually in marathon showcases, we like to show off the different parts of the game that maybe people that play it casually might not see all the time. So, as a incentive to donate and help out the two great charities that I mentioned before, the Children's Health Fund and the Burned Child's Fund, we can ask a certain threshold to require our runners to go perform in an opera. And we also can have a bid war between the fate of Sid on the solitary island, whether we save Sid or we kill Sid in order to unlock the final boss of the game. So with the objective system, you can allow, you know, a lot of different cool possibilities like that. Alright, so it looks like One Free Fits is going to go the route of helping out the Injured Lad, which is yet another one of the 5 quests. So we've seen 3 of the 5 so far. The Checkpoint, the Zozo Clock, and now the Injured Lad. So for the Injured Lad, essentially you need some cash in order to send 5 different things for the Injured Lad. And this takes about like 2.5 minutes on average to do. But he's definitely going to be rewarded here after going to the auction house, which actually is the 4th quest. So we've seen 4 out of the 5 quests thus far. The other one, which we probably won't see unless the stars align, is the fan favorite, Toya. It is the suplex of the train.
Oh, but that one is always so good too. We always want to see it.
Yeah, that's required for validating your seed. So yeah, so this quest basically is go read all the letters that you find, and oh no, we've got a toilet Atma jumping out and grabbing Drink's glue out of the sky.
Oh no, you don't want to see that.
No, this is a... I hope he saved recently, and yeah, that's a... Whew. That is not fun. So, yes, the Doomgaze tile is still something that is active in Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. If you have access to Setzer, you can actually, you know, do the Fight Me Bro prompt on the airship itself, but you never want to accidentally run into it like that when you're not prepared.
Absolutely not. Oh, and we're going to see some Colosseum right here.
Yeah, so on the left-hand side, that is what you bet, and on the right-hand side, that is what you win. And Drink's Glue finds a really nice trade here. We'll see if we can get ourselves some fixed dice. Unfortunately, Yeti is poisoned, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, he's going to be happy about that. And Auto Berserk. You'd love to see it.
Oh, there's a Flame Shield as well, and an Economizer, and a Dragon Horn, and a Pearl Lance. So, a couple of good items in here. We'll see how far down the rabbit hole Drink's Glue wants to go. This is going to be a rougher fight, because these Osteosaurs may zombie your character, and that is basically a instant death.
Nope,
but
Yeti's got it.
Yeti just says, enjoy my chest bump.
Now, I did see, I think there were some peace rings in there, too. So that is really a one-stop shop for dealing with that Auto Berserk.
Yeah. As one of our people in the chat mentioned, BPCL, Auto Berserk does make Yeti stronger. It will make any person that with a physical attack stronger. If you equip the Dragoon Boots, there is a chance that you can jump as your action instead of using the fight command. So we'll see how many of our runners decide the extra damage is worth the Auto Berserk, and you also don't have to worry about taking actions with that character either, as we do see One Free Fits also zooming around with those sprint shoes here.
That is some crazy zoomies. Now, here's a question for you.
Yes. With
the Auto Berserk and the Yeti start, those two combined, does Yeti go to Final Kefka in your plans?
Ooh, it would depend on what Yeti can do. And we know that there are 100% item equipability, right? So those fixed dice that Shadow has, or the Atma weapon that we looted in one of the places where we grabbed it from, I think it was South Figaro, Yeti can use those weapons. Normally in our standard flags, there is a original plus 33% random sort of equipability. So Umaro sort of gets nerfed in that particular set of options, but we've severely buffed the Yeti here. I would take Umaro into the final fight with that Atma weapon if it were me, because he comes with the Snow Muffler piece of armor, which is one of the best pieces of armor in the game. So if I was creating a Yeti build out of scratch, the Atma weapon would be my ideal choice.
Absolutely, and we are getting a floating continent play from Taco Mage, it looks like.
Yeah, I really like this play here from Taco Mage, because we know that the Umaro check is not a character, and remember you had mentioned earlier that the only way to open up more world events or checks is to get more characters. And Floating Continent has an opportunity for 2 different characters on the Floating Continent. This is a 3-part check. So this is probably where our characters are going to be hiding out.
Just out of curiosity, has anybody checked Kefka at Narsh?
I don't think so. So Kefka at Narsh is one of the checks that is not considered what we would call character gated, where you don't have to have a character to go do it. However, it is the only one that is not character gated that will reward a character. It's one of those, you know, people usually don't peek at it until the very end sort of thing. I think 1-3-5's got an experience egg from the Coliseum. So lots of great rewards in there if you can go find them.
Oh, that experience egg is going to serve them very well.
Alright, Drinks Glue taking down his first dragon of the seed, so this will increase all of the scaling by 2 levels. But dragons, not only do they give you a lot of XP and 50 MP, they will drop a high tier item in addition to the normal item that they drop. So very lucrative to go after dragons. They also count as checks towards that potential 22 to skip over to the switches, which we'll talk about a bit later once we sort of get there.
Yes, and it looks like Drinks Glue got another set of fixed dice, so he is a gambling man tonight.
Both Shadow and Umaro are going to just roll the dice. And this is probably the worst fight you could see for Drinks Glue with with 2 berserked characters. Remember from the beginning of the game, Fix and Wedge, don't touch the shell.
Yes. Oh.
I guess Shadow got the memo.
Really he did get the memo.
Meanwhile, Taco Mage on the other side going up against Vargas and the Apple Toilets, the Ipoos. Vargas has a lot of HP, because in the vanilla game, you're supposed to use the Blitz, or rather the Pummel Blitz to defeat this boss. So he has a naturally huge amount of HP. So even at a pretty low level, this Vargas fight is going to take a while, but you know what happens. The doggo comes out. Thank you very much, Interceptor. Taking down Vargas there.
Absolutely. Best doggo in the game. And we are getting a Yeti play from Drinks Glue. He's going to go check out what the Yeti has in his cave.
Yeah, so I suspect he will also check this monster in a box here, because he's got that Atma weapon and he has 2 fixed dice. Both of those weapons are very good with a relic that's called the Offering, that allows you to attack 4 times per turn instead of 1. However, it usually gives a negative damage penalty of cutting your attacks in half. However, the fixed dice doesn't obey the normal damage formula, so you'll actually get 4 attacks with it instead of 1. And I think that was an Edgar on the ground there.
That was an Edgar!
Wow.
Yes, it was an Edgar.
Alright, so Taco Mage forgot his Moogle Charm, and that's what happens when you forget your Moogle Charm. So that is going to be his second check. I did not see what Edgar's ability was. Did you happen to catch it?
No, he moved way too fast for me.
Yeah, that's that's what happens sometimes when you get runners of this caliber. They menu quick. We will see it at the next fight, and we are hearing from the chat that it is Magitech, which is a really interesting ability. It's the one that Vanilla Terra starts out with in the vanilla game. So one of the cool things about Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide is we do allow some of those temporary abilities from temporary characters, like Magitech, like Shock from General Leo, and Health from Bannon or whatever, to
Ooh,
be
that is
randomized in our random pool, and yick.
That's a goddess.
This is wow. You ever see Shadow throw himself into himself? Yeah,
Nope,
so
I have to say that is the first.
yeah, so Goddess is going to be a problem here for Drinks Glue's party composition. Goddess has a huge amount of physical defense, which thankfully we have the fixed ice that cuts through it, and very high magic defense, which we're not using anyway, but the love token that came out earlier onto Shadow was going to be the problem, but Umaro decides to bet it all on red, because that's what color he was when he won that fight. Very nicely done.
That was a well-placed bet, Yeti. Well-placed bet.
Alright, I believe that was a second Esper there for Drinks Glue. So we are done with the World of Ruin Norse loop for him, and One Free Fits is just starting his. We did learn Ice 3 from that dragon, so the very first Esper has a really nice spell on it there.
Yes, that will be very, very handy come the final Kefka fight, which we'll get into later, like you said earlier. We've got Haydn over on the floating continent, it looks like.
Yeah, Haydn and the Haydn Knights, everybody's favorite Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide jazz band here. Unfortunately, we're getting poisoned here, and we've basically been poisoned all game and from multiple runners, so this is nothing new. Got a question for you, Dwyer. Why are we not just revivifying this boss and killing it?
Well, in these flags, even though this is considered an undead boss, that flag is turned off so they cannot be insta-killed with revivifies or phoenix downs.
Yeah, we don't want to make anything easy on our runners now. We want to make sure that they could actually legitimately kill bosses, and that is a huge Esper to find there for Taco Mage. That is Golem.
Oh, yes it is.
That'll come in handy for the final fight. So even though our runners are trying to tackle what's right in front of them, in the back of their mind, they always know that Final Kefka is the last boss of the game. So we try and look for things that will help us out with that Final Kefka fight. And unfortunately, Taco Mage must not have the things to clear out that poison status.
Oh no, and Fitz resets out a goddess.
Yeah, don't blame him there.
Yeah, that is a rough early fight, especially with only 2 characters.
Oh, because Yeti has a Pearl Lance. That's why that fight is going so tragically. So Goddess will absorb both Pearl and Lightning, and as the name implies, the Pearl Lance will use Pearl-like things on the bosses.
Well, unlike what the actual saying is, pearls are a girl's best friend. Obviously.
Obviously, yes. Meanwhile, Taco Mage is finding out very quickly that these movers are one of the most annoying enemies in the entire game. They have 100% or near perfect physical evade, so you can't hit them. They have very high magic defense, so this fire beam is going to do no damage. And he's got to figure out a way to cut the defense, which Yeti does with the throw. And they're just kind of a pain in the neck to fight against, so hopefully Taco Mage gets through it. He did smartly let his party members die so that he could bring them back up with the Phoenix down and then use the heal beam to get them back on their feet. And it looks like Drinks Glue is at the cave on the Veldt, and it is an Esper on the ground, and it is the frozen chicken.
Oh yes, but even though he might not have fire, he does have a way to deal with it because those fixed dice are going to cut right through its defense.
There it is. That is the easiest Tritok fight I've seen without fire. Those dice.
Crazy how those dice can just chip that ice away, huh?
Yeah, who knew that you just throw dice at things. Alright, that is Shiva as the reward there for Drinks Glue, so that's Esper number 3 for him. Petting the dog, of course.
Pet the dog? Yes.
Alright, you only need to pet the dog once. Move along here. This is a speed run. Meanwhile, it looks like this goddess fight going much better for 1-3 fits the second time around, now that Yeti is not healing the boss every single time his turn happens, right? So.
And Taco Mage with the Yeti taking out those movers. Those chest bumps are nice.
Yeah, so the movers will also give a lot of MP, so that's a really nice fight to win. It's just kind of a pain in the neck to deal with, as we saw before. Drinks Glue here is going to do the Save or Kill Sid quest. So we have told our runners that Sid must die. Again, this will be a bid war during the actual marathon to see whether or not the audience gives us basically the thumbs up or thumbs down. It's like we're living in Roman times here. But the object with the saving or killing Sid is we want to feed Sid these slow-moving fish. Sid has 120 HP, and he'll lose 1 HP every second. And basically, those slow-moving fish will decrease his HP even further. So if we just sat here and did nothing for 2 minutes, Sid would die. But by going to get these slow-moving fish, we're going to kill him quicker than the 2 minutes.
Because, like you said, this is a speed run. We can't just sit there for 2 minutes.
No, definitely not. Taco Mage getting through that last boss on the floating continent. It was so fast, I didn't see what it was. But you know who I do see?
That's Locke. That opens up a few things.
Yeah, so we did talk about Edgar on that little intro slide, but now let's talk about Locke. Where can we go with Locke?
So Locke has some really interesting checks. The first one, kind of considered a free check, it is a free check, is where he's going right now, is the Narsh World of Ruin weapon shop, where the old guy in the weapon shop will, in the vanilla game, I believe it was the Ragnarok Esper or Sword.
That's correct.
Well, in this one, he also gives you a choice of potentially an Esper and an item, or an item and an item.
Yeah, so let's see what we get here.
Exactly. And while he's doing that, the other checks that Locke opens up is, one is the South Figaro Cave, where you would, in vanilla, fight tunnel armor. So that is an option. It also opens up the Phoenix Cave in World of Ruin.
Yeah, so the Phoenix Cave is an interesting one because you do have to split up your party into 2 different groups. That hence why we have the Moogle Charms. We give them 3. We give our runners 3 of them. But there also is an optional dragon in Phoenix Cave, as we have our first quad 9s of the seed for Drinks Glue on that gold dirk in there. So there is an optional dragon in there as well as a reward. It is a bit of a longer check though, so that's why it's not as highly favored as some of our other checks here. However, there is a logic to a Worlds Collide seed, right, where we mention you can only get characters, or rather you can only get checks from characters. So the more characters you have, the more checks or options that are available to you. So Worlds Collide has a logic to it, whereby you must be able to finish a seed. So that means you have to get all of the characters and all of the Espers potentially in any given seed. So we know that our only characters to go forward in the seed are either at Kefka and Narsh, which we haven't seen yet, or one of Edgar and Locke's checks up on the floating continent. So Taco Mage, in spite of the fact that you know, he spent some time doing those quests and things like that, he does have 2 extra characters that his other compatriots don't, which will not only make these boss fights faster, but it also gives him a better opportunity to get to the end of the game with those 6 characters that we need to unlock the last boss.
Exactly, and that is a Dance Dance Revolution Locke.
Hey. So in Worlds Collide, we do not have that stumble attribute that is in the vanilla game, where if the dance person is dancing in a different background than the dance that you pick, you can sometimes stumble. That made the dance utility too weak in order to be used effectively. So we got rid of that. So you won't see Locke stumble here. But Taco Mage has found a couple of things on this dance list that he likes. Rage is a pretty nice non-elemental AoE spell. So good to see some use of dance here come out from Locke.
Not only that, but he did have a little extra healing there. I think he had Sunbath. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, Sunbath is a great healing spell. It's not as good as Wild Bear, which is the most powerful one, but it is pretty powerful.
Exactly. And Drinks Glue is now performing in his opera.
Yeah, meanwhile, we have Fitz selling a bunch of things in order to potentially get the Esper here at Zen Thief. He is going to buy a Dragon Horn, so he must have found those Dragoon Boots somewhere, perhaps? And getting the Ragnarok Esper from Zen there.
So now, with everything that we have on the board, specifically on Taco Mage's side, where do you think your next check is going to be?
Yeah, so he's going to finish up the World of Ruin Narsh here just because he went there for Locke's check. And he knows that both of these won't be a character. So we either have to go into Edgar's loop of checks, which is the Figaro Engine Room, the Figaro Throne, and Ancient Castle, or we have to dive into the Phoenix Cave, or we have to go to the Tunnel Armor South Figaro Cave check. If it were me, I would do the fastest of those checks, and that is the Tunnel Armor South Figaro Cave check after this one, and just see what we get from there.
Absolutely, and that nice free heal right before it is definitely something to take advantage of.
Yeah, apparently all the water in Final Fantasy VI just heals you, except the Doma one. Don't drink Doma bottled water. I hear they're recalling that one.
Yeah. Something about a odd color, maybe? I don't know.
I never trust Kefka bottling packaging anyway. Alright, so one free Fitz throwing on that experience egg. I think he's kept it off for the earrings there. So interesting thing to do. He's going to put it on the Yeti though, which, again, like we mentioned earlier, if we're going to use the Atma weapon, which is a weapon that is based on the number of levels your character has, it's a good idea to put the experience egg, which doubles the amount of experience, on the person who is going to be using the Atma weapon, where the levels matter in the damage formula for the weapon. Alright, well done to Drinks Glue for performing in the opera here. And Taco Mage has fallen into a hole. So he's going to get his Esper here from Yeti Cave. And
I like it that we're going to the lowest place of Worlds Collide and the highest place of Worlds Collide between Taco Mage and Fitz.
Yeah, what's funny is, I think Phoenix Cave, no, Phoenix Cave doesn't, but Daryl's Tomb, I know, has a basement 3, and I'm pretty sure that the Sealed Gate Cave does too, but we don't have access to either of those checks, so within reason, I think we're at the lowest point here in the Yeti Hall. Alright, we'll see how Taco Mage deals with Goddess. He did not go to the Colosseum. And funnily enough, it looks like he is going to try and uncurse that shield with Locke. I didn't see.
You're right.
I didn't see how many battles it was, though. Did you happen to see?
I want to say 13, but I could be wrong on that.
Wow, that is a lot of battles.
Now, he might not have went to the Colosseum, but having those 2 extra characters is definitely going to help with that Goddess fight.
He also has access to Ice 3, which is a pretty decent spell. Goddess does have a lot of magical defense, though, so it's not doing a heck of a lot here. But he cannot use the fixed ice because of that love token that ended up being on Locke.
You are absolutely right. However, those Yeti chest bumps are going to do just fine.
That's an odd interaction I've never thought about before. Does Love Token bypass, or rather, does the Curse Shield bypass Love Token? Because you already have all these other negative status ailments applied to your character. Because I see Uaro and Shadow just firing away with the fight command, so that's That's an interesting thing I've never seen before, and that's why that's why you watch Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, is because there's things that you would have never known about the game unless you started watching the randomizer.
Well, I'm pretty sure that every time that I watch any one of these runners, I learn something new.
Alright, so we got Fitz and Drinks Glue both dialing the floating continent up because, you know, as we mentioned before, the seed must have a logical path through it, and this seems like the only logical path from what we know at the moment. X-Zone on that Stray, very important again for the final boss. There are multiple parts of Final Kefka that can be instant death, so having access to it is something we definitely want on our Final Kefka checklist.
For sure.
Alright, so here comes the tunnel armor spot for Taco Mage, and we'll see what this boss is. Meanwhile, 1-3 Fits and Drinks Blue are fighting their Guardian, and we'll get their Edgar, I believe, is the first one, right?
Yes. Ooh, that is a nasty martial fight. Those tap dancers are mean. They like to, waist shake, which will confuse, and also throw things, which is very deadly.
Yeah, so this is an interesting fight where we added in a new check to the game at the Moogle defense, basically where Terra falls in the very beginning of the game. And we added it to Mog's set of checks, because the Moogles will come out and come help you. But we didn't want Marshall to be yet another pushover boss, so what we decided was we were going to randomize his adds from those wolves to things that are a bit more scary. And the tap dancers are one of the more tame ones, believe it or not, I think. I don't know.
They are, but they can still be very scary.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Alright, so that is Tri-Talk in for Taco Mage. So that was not the answer. So it's either got to be one of Edgar's checks or Phoenix Cave or Kefka at Narsh for our next character here.
So I personally would love to see an Ancient Castle play. Figaro Castle basement, engine room to Ancient Castle. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, I normally do not like Edgar's stuff because it takes so long to do. But when you're talking about check density, right? There are 3 potential places where a character can be in that list of 3, right? Whereas your other option is Kefka at Narsh or Phoenix Cave, both of which are long checks in their own right. They're not as long as Edgar's loop, but they are not quick checks. So.
Oh no! I don't want to do it myself. I just want to watch them do it.
Oh, okay, perfect. Alright, a little Ice Shield action there from Taco Mage. So we did find a Thunder Shield to teach us Bolt, and we do have Ice 3, but Elemental Protection is always nice, and remember, we could just yeet it at Final Kefka at the end in order to do a maximum damage Tier 3 Elemental spell. Yeah, so the enemies that Marshall comes with are written into the game at the time when the seed is generated, so they're not based on the level that Marshall is. So it's not a dynamic boss formation. And there's another ice shield. You just bought one. Put that ice shield back in that chest.
Oh, and there is a Cyan. Now, Cyan is really nice. His checks are some of my favorite in the game, personally.
Yeah, so let's talk about Cyan's 3 checks. We obviously have 2 of them that are going to be at Doma, and one of them that's at Mount Zozo. Which one of those 3, I guess you want to explain what all 3 of them are?
Sure. The first one the easiest one, I should say, is Doma Siege, which takes place in the vanilla game after Kefka poisons the water supply of Doma. This is where you first get Cyan in the vanilla game, where he goes and fights the leader. The next easiest one, I guess I would say, would be Mount Zozo in the World of Ruin, where you find him sending love letters and posing as this poor girl's boyfriend, along with his book of machinery, hiding away in Mount Coles. The most fun of Cyan's checks, though, is Doma Dream, where in the vanilla game, Cyan goes to sleep in Doma Castle in World of Ruin and confronts his nightmares. This is where you would originally see the Dream Stooges and Rexol. However, since this is randomized, of course those bosses are going to be randomized, but the nice thing about that check is you have a chance for 3 pieces of progression. The vanilla Dream Stooge fight could be an Esper. You could find a character running through the nightmare. And then, of course, on the Doma Throne, after the dream is finished, you can either find an Esper or an item.
Yeah, in the vanilla game, that's Alexander. In the randomizer, it's either, another Esper or another item. There can't be a character on the Doma Throne. However, on the Figaro Throne, there can be. So we haven't seen that yet, since Taco Mage is the only one that has Edgar, who is not currently still stuck on the floating continent here. And one free fits, you can see the effect of that B-dash here, where he got up to this fight before Drinks Glue, even though I think Drinks Glue got to the floating continent first, question mark? I think that's what happened, but I'm not positive. And I don't want to speak out of turn there.
I know that they were neck and neck at that Guardian fight, and I'm not sure who touched down first.
Alright, so Cyan has natural jump, which is nice because we know where a Dragonhorn is lying around in one of the relic shops here. So, unfortunately, Taco Mage did not insert Cyan into his party. He's going to stick with the Shadow, Edgar, Umaro, and Locke crew.
Oh, that's exciting. That means the Yeti might be going to the final battle.
Yeah, I wonder if there was a runner's agreement to keep Yeti in the party. I know that sometimes shenanigans can take place, but as I mentioned before, the Yeti having the Atma weapon is a legitimately great build for the final boss. I just don't like that I can't control him, because the final boss is very dependent on counterattacks, as we'll sort of explain when we get there later on here.
Now, I really like Taco Mage's routing here. By going through and doing the engine room first, he is able to pop right back up to Figaro Throne, do any of the discount shopping there because, nobody wants to charge the king full price. And then if he wanted to dip back down, he could go the Ancient Castle route. There's a lot less going back and forth between worlds, which is definitely a little quicker.
Yeah, so would you go down to the Ancient Castle if you were in Taco Mage's shoes?
Ooh, that's a hard one. With the potential of an Esper or a character and also a dragon, I like that better than Phoenix Cave, so yes, I probably would.
Well, remember, we did just get Cyan, so we can go do all of Cyan's stuff too, right?
That's true, but we're right here. And, if you don't do it now, you're never going to go back to it.
Right, that is, I drew a line in the sand. That is my last location if it is my 6th character, right? So,
right.
Taco Mage playing it a little cautious here. I personally, I don't know.
Wait, there's also 2 chances for 2 monster in a boxes here, so maybe that's playing into there?
Yeah, that is a great call there. That's something I did not think about, because we still have not found an offering.
Absolutely. And Fiery Blizzard in chat points out, we do have sprint shoes, so it's a little bit faster. It's not quite as tedious having to do the walk all the way back.
Alright, so this is not the monster in a box we're looking for, so we run away from it. One free fit's getting their lock. We'll see if they decide to go down Locke's rabbit hole, or if they take the Edgar approach. And let's see what's down here in the Ancient Castle. Let's see if this is worth it. This can be a character or an Esper or an item. And there is a dragon down here that we can take. It is not a character. Otherwise, that statue would be a statue of said character.
I mean, it could still be an Esper. However, I bet at this point, Taco Mage is kind of thinking, well, maybe I should have went up and done the cyan checks.
Yeah, we do still need 6. Rather, we still do need 9 espers in order to unlock Final Kafka. And as you mentioned, we're coming down here fishing for an offering 2, plus the dragon to learn some spells, because we've accumulated a bunch of different espers here, right? So let's learn some spells on it. There's a lot of good reasons to still visit the ancient castle.
Absolutely. And the nice thing about dragons, like you kind of mentioned with the whole collection of espers, they do provide 50 magic points, so that's really nice if there's some spells on there that they're really wanting to learn.
Alright, 1 free fits. With some nice game knowledge there, knowing that those tap dancers are susceptible to instant death, and just yeets them into another universe, and then takes out Marshall with the ice spell. So Marshall can also be instant death as well, in case you were wondering. So we could have done that. And that is an Esper there. Unicorn for Taco Mage. So that he is up to now 13 checks and 7 espers, whereas we have 1 free fits at 4 and 6, and Drinks Glue at 4 and will be 5 after this Marshall fight goes down.
Now let's see if Taco goes and tries that other monster in a box, or if he's just going to call it quits and go for Cyan.
Yeah, I tend to do this monster in a box second because I can save on the way down. Right, so this makes sense to me, and this is not a fight we want, so
nope.
See you later. You can see how much more often we are bonking into walls and stuff on both Fitz's side and Taco Mage's side with the sprint shoes, but we can also see how much faster it's making some of these very long checks, especially things like, you know, Ancient Castle here.
Exactly. Do you think that they were provided helmets before that B-dash went on? Are they wearing their safety pads?
I hope so. I did not see either of them purchase the seatbelt relic, so we'll see. We'll make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to do here. We got to send them into the concussion protocol tent. All right, so 1 free fits is discovering his cyan here at the ancient, at the engine room.
All right, so I wonder if Taco Mage, since he is in the World of Ruin right now, I wonder if he's going to go over to Mount Zozo, or if he's going to go straight to Dream for those 3 checks. Or something completely different.
It looks like he's doing a late Coliseum dip here. So we'll see what his rewards might be, and what character he decides to send here into the Coliseum.
The nice thing about going to Coliseum late is that you do tend to have more items, so more items are going to be available.
There you go.
That is a big stick. That is a Ragnarok.
Yeah, so we didn't see that from either one of our other runners there. The downside, you were mentioning the upside of going to the Coliseum late. The downside of going to the Coliseum late is your characters learn all of these magic spells, which are pretty useless. And Coliseum AI can choose anything for its attack. So you have to be careful to not blow your 1 chance. I think there's like an Eminem song about that or something like that.
Probably.
Alright, so both Fitz and Drinks Glue heading down into the ancient castle, and it looks like, I didn't even notice this before, but we have tentacles on other sets of tentacles. This is a vanilla fight here.
Vanilla spaghetti.
More Eminem references here. But yeah, the grabby pasta is not too much fun. They will scoop you up and basically make this fight take a very, very long time. I hate this fight in Kefka's Tower especially, so thankfully we do not have to fight it in Kefka's Tower. The thing about Worlds Collide, the bosses are shuffled amongst themselves. They're not randomized, at least in this set of options. So we won't see any boss more than 1 time. You can make it random instead of shuffled, or you can even make it vanilla, whichever you like. And that's honestly one of the reasons I love Worlds Collide, is you can make so many different things about this game, as there goes Sid, as well on Taco Mage's screen. But there's so much customization available in this game. It makes you come back for more all the time.
Absolutely. Between, Ultros League, and then there's Moogle Cup for beginners, and Chaos Seeds, and Seed of the Week, and there is so much there.
Yeah, so
you could never get tired of it.
Yeah, so on our website, ff6worldscollide.com, there is a link to the Discord for our community, and you can come join it. And you could start engaging with the game and engaging with the community, who's always down to help out somebody and have you be onboarded and be one of us, essentially.
One of us. One of us.
Alright, so Fitz grabbing his Esper off of the throne there. So he's got the Esper lead with 8, and I believe it's because he bought the one at Zen Thief. So that's where that lead is coming from for one free Fitz. And hey, we've got a Yeti on Yeti action here. I don't know if
Yetiception.
Do we have to bring the stream down? Can we show this?
I mean, we'll just too bad it's not pixelated out. It's really close to pixelated out.
It's almost like the dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look away, kids.
Alright, so Umaro is weak to fire, so that's why we are using that fire beam there. So one of the interesting things about the Magitech command itself is that you can actually program a Magitech command upgrade objective into the game. And for our standard flags, we have it set to being, if you complete the Magitech factory, you can unlock the entirety of the Magitech command. So that is Terra's version of Magitech, whereas you get Vix and Wedge's version of Magitech to start off the game with. Alright, Genji Glove pickup there for Drinks Glue and a chest. And let's see,
nice.
One Free Fitz is heading to a different cyan check here. This is some new 411, and it is Mount Zozo.
Yeah, he's gonna go buy his Rust Rid from the only honest person in Zozo. Did you see what Taco Mage got from the Dream Stooges?
Yeah, that was Seraphim, so that was another Esper, and we'll see. Ooh, wow! My favorite character. This is my favorite character in the randomizer, Gao. It's going to be a little late to put him into the party and maybe even do his checks. But what does Gao give us access to?
Well, Gao gives us access to, of course, his Velt check, where in the vanilla game you would find him there, you'd feed him dried meat, and he would Mr. Thou and dance and all that. In Worlds Collide, you still have to find dried meat, which I believe is randomized. Is it 5 different shops still in this flag set?
That's correct.
Of course. You still have to get the dried meat. You still have to feed it to whatever shows on the Velt. However, it will be guaranteed either a character or an Esper. Of course, if it's a character, you're going to feed it to the character sprite. If it is Esper, it's going to be one of the Imp, Ghost, or Merchant Soldier sprites. The other one is the Serpent Trench. In the vanilla game, of course, where you take the team to find Gao's shiny, shiny treasure, which is a breathing device. You jump into the trench and swim your way to Nakia. Of course, in Worlds Collide, it's the same thing. You find the shiny treasure, jump into the trench, and swim your way to Nakia. Yeah,
you get 3 to 5 random battles in there. But I always am curious, like, there's a question of how the heck do 4 different people get to share one scuba diving helmet? I have questions.
We don't talk about that. This is a clean stream.
Fair enough. So Gao is running across the dream. We got a flame shield drop from a dragon over there from One Free Fitz, and he's going to show us what's at the end of Mount Zozo. Drinks Glue decided to head down to the ancient castle, whereas Fitz short-circuited out of it. So 2 different strategies there. And we've got to find our 6th character. Taco Mage knows where it is. And let's see if we get one here at Mount Zozo.
I'm very curious. Nice, convenient warp stone there to get out easily.
Oh, yeah. Never want to do the walk of shame. Although with B-Dash, it's not as bad, but you definitely don't want to do that.
No, no, no. However, of all the walks of shame, that is not the worst one.
No, definitely not. Kafka's Tower and Magitech Factor are way worse.
Absolutely.
Alright, so we do have Funbaba here. So the Funbaba that gets shuffled around is the last actual beatable Funbaba from the vanilla game that, you know, after Terra turns into her Esper form, and you can actually kill the Funbaba. That's the one we're fighting here. It used to be that the one that blew your characters away was shuffled, but we found out that when your characters get blown away, they get blown back to the airship, and having that inside of Kefka's Tower would be incredibly frustrating to deal with. So we decided to not shuffle that Funbaba into the boss pool. You can if you'd like to, but it's a bad idea.
Especially if it's your character that has the Moogle charm.
Oh yeah, it's rough. It's real rough.
Yeah.
Anytime you see a flag set where you know that's the case, it's one of those things where you are hoping against hope that you don't find Funbaba in Kefka's Tower. He'll huff and puff and blow your characters back to the airship.
Yes, and Funbaba is down, so we're going to, of course, be able to collect our Gao, but we're also going to go collect whatever's on that throne. Now, if there's an Esper on that throne, does that mean that Taco Mage will get his unlock?
I believe so, because he's done the opera, and I believe he's already killed Sid, but that would be my only hurdle there. As we did get Gao with a Morph GP Rain Gao, which is incredible. I'm being facetious. And there it is.
Oh, yeah. There it is. Now, one of the other interesting things, too, and I don't think it's going to come up here because we didn't get a character that had it, but in this flag set, one of the things that you can pick is that if you complete the Doma Dream, it will unlock all 8 sword techs.
Yeah, so that's the message that we did see pop up on screen after the Cyan Dream completion. Yeah, unless we have another character somewhere else that is not Gao, maybe at Doma Siege. Let's see what one Free Fits finds here, as Glue finds an Experience Egg at the 11th hour, and we do have Setzer! So that is yet another character there.
That is a Blitz Setzer.
Imagine if this is a Ghost Train. It is not.
No!
I think at that point you'd have to reset and be like, okay, let's bring Setzer in to suplex this train.
Absolutely. You take one for the team just to do it for the fans.
Alright, so Taco Mage here, I guess is not feeling his levels, is heading in to fight another dragon here. So we got simultaneous dragon fights on the top half of the screen, and Fitz is going to take out Dullahan here on the bottom half of the screen.
Now, Dullahan is a really interesting boss because you look at him and you think that he's like covered in fire, and maybe he is, but he's also weak to fire, so...
Yeah, Dullahan is the boss that makes no sense in this game. It's a chariot with a skull rider behind it on fire. The boss doesn't absorb fire, it's actually weak to fire. It's not undead in spite of the fact that it's a skull. And it's actually floating in spite of the fact that it's a chariot. So I don't understand that boss.
It is the Paradox boss. And thank you for that raid, Bubba. Good to see you. Welcome into the Final Fantasy Randomizer Winter 2024 Marathon submission.
Alright, so Drinks Glue, unfortunately, gonna find out the bad news here. That it's just an Esper. He does need Espers, but not that one. Alright, one Free Fits does pick up a Dragon Horn from Kolingen, so we didn't really get to talk about Setzer's checks, but that's one of them, the Kolingen in the World of Balance or World of Ruin, where we recruit him in the vanilla game. We also have that aforementioned Search the Skies, which we know is the Atma boss, right? Because Glue got surprised by them earlier on. And then he also opens up Daryl's Tomb in the World of Ruin. So those are the 3 areas that Setzer will open up for us. And Fitz will be in go mode after this 4.5-minute cutscene of the Opera House. So Taco Mage still has a little bit of a lead here, but Glue just has to find his Gao or his Setzer. So we'll see which one he picks here.
Absolutely. Now, I did notice on Glue's side, and I think it would have been on Fitz's side too, yes, they found Siren.
Yes.
Up on Mount Zozo, so that is a very nice Esper to have for Final Kefka.
Yeah, so one of the parts of Final Kefka, named Magic, only casts Magic, can hilariously be muted so that they can no longer cast Magic. So, that's fun.
It was awfully nice of the developers to put something in like that, though.
Alright, so Drinks Glue putting Setzer in the party here, forgetting that you need to equip a Peace Ring in order to counter the Berserk. But maybe he wants to put in Setzer for the party because he's got those fixed dice. And Taco Mage takes off the Moogle Charm to do a grind fight. So it seems like he's been uncursing that shield the entire game. Maybe he's starting to think maybe this was a mistake.
Yeah? Has he run in? Okay, so in order to uncurse the shield...
Wow.
Yeah, you have to do fights that provide magic points, correct?
Yeah, so Umaro and Gogo cannot uncurse the shield because they don't ever earn MP, but any other character will. So has he just run into fights that don't provide that then? Because I feel like he's done 13. One of the other problems with the Curse Shield is that you take twice as much damage from every single elemental spell, as well as being afflicted by all sorts of various statuses. So I think what has happened with him is that his Curse Shield user just died in too many fights, and it doesn't count as a battle if your Curse Shield user is not alive, right? So they technically don't get any credit for the battle if they're dead.
Good point, good point.
Alright, so Taco Mage is our first runner into Kefka's Tower here. So, in the vanilla game, you usually have like full parties, and they're usually all about the same levels, because the game does this sort of trick where it only forces you to use certain characters at certain times, right? That's not the case in Worlds Collide. In Worlds Collide, we basically have had 4 characters in our party the entire game, and the other characters that we've recruited along the way, we haven't really invested anything into them, stat-wise or gear-wise. So this is always the part of the game that is the most difficult for our runners, because we are constantly trying to fight bosses that are now at the highest scaling they're going to be in the game with a reduced amount of party. So taking a look at all 3 of our runners here, they've all have 6 characters and 9 espers, so that's 15 pieces of progression. And then each dragon adds on 2 more levels. So our enemies are at least at level 30 plus either 8 or 6 or 4, depending upon which runner you're talking about, right? So these are high 30s levels enemies, and in Taco Mage's case, his party is level 30 and 32, so he's got to get some more levels. Drinks Glue's levels are a little bit higher here as he inserts Setzer into his party. Here, he's in the upper 30s. One Free Fitz, I think, had an experience egg for a very long time, so I'll be curious to see what the levels on his party are. But I would have to suspect, Dwyer, that they're higher than the other 2.
I would think so too. That's actually a very good point. I don't think Taco Mage ever found an experience egg, or if he did, it's not on one of these 2 characters.
Yeah, so Fitz's Umaro is level 40-something, and his other characters are also high 30s, so just something to keep an eye on here, because One Free Fitz is going to go search the skies here, so he's going to do a couple more fights, and he might be looking for Kefka Tower Skip, and we should probably talk about that now. What the heck is a Kefka Tower Skip?
Well, Kefka Tower Skip, so in the vanilla game, as we've mentioned many of times here, you have to run all the way through the tower. You can split your party up into 3, fight the Inferno spot, and just go through the whole maze of it. In Worlds Collide, you can set a flag to where after so many checks or after so many objectives, you can skip straight to the statue switches. Meaning you can bypass everything up to that point. Those dragon fights, the Inferno spot, the maze. And it can really save you some time, assuming that going out of your way to do those extra skips doesn't take more time than a 4 to 5 minute Kefka walk.
Yeah, it'll be even less because of the B-dash that we have here, right, on our crew. But remember, we only have one set of sprint shoes, so there's only going to be one party that's going to be zooming at a time.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I never get to play with B-dash, so I did not even think about the fact that only one party can have those sprint shoes at a time, unless they switch them around.
Yeah, which also costs more time for relic management, right?
Exactly, because you know the strongest boss in Worlds Collide is the menu.
Alright, so Taco Mage did make his way past the Inferno spot, and he's got to do all of this walking before fighting the boss gauntlet here after the switches. So we'll see what we have what Kefka's Tower has in store for us. Now, I know that we want to punish our runners, so let's think about the bosses that we have not seen in the seed yet, and can they show up in Kefka's Tower? I think the rudest boss that we've seen outside of it is Goddess, am I correct?
Absolutely. So you know that leaves 3 really good ones for these last 3 spots.
Yeah, so we have seen only one of the 3 statue bosses. There are a few other bosses that I think would be pretty bad. We've seen Tritalk, which is one of the bad ones because it has very high resistances to a bunch of different things. We have not seen Doomgaze or Magimaster or 2 of the other statue bosses, and I think those would be the worst to run into here in Kefka's Tower.
You know what? I would... You know, since we want to see them suffer, of course.
Of course.
Doomgaze, Magimaster, and the Spicy Chicken Poltergeist itself. That's what I'm hoping for.
Alright, well, buckle in, because here comes the Guardian spot. Okay, this boss is not a very difficult one, except if he decides to get angry. And he might get angry, folks, so let's see what happens here.
Well, now casting Flare on him is very dangerous because this is one of the things that makes him angry. Flare and Pearl. This boss does not like those.
No. You know what else doesn't like Flare? My stopwatch, because it is the longest spell animation in the entire game, and as you mentioned, here comes a Meteor counterattack, and this is going to be rough here, folks. So, what do you think the SR and SR Behemoth stands for?
Well, I like to think it's Senior Behemoth. What about you?
I like Sriracha Behemoth. He's pretty spicy right now, actually.
Yeah.
What do we think, chat? Super Behemoth, Scrontium Behemoth, Sir Behemoth.
Behemoth the Elder.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we just had a Goddard counter. And unfortunately, this Ice 3 is going to heal this boss. So Taco Mage is going to have to figure out a way to kill the first part of SR Behemoth. And I don't know what he has. Was that a Ragnarok, maybe?
That sure looked like a Ragnarok.
It's either that or an Excalibur, which is a mediocre sword, but I guess it'll have to do here.
Now the interesting thing, this is a 2-part boss. We've got the first part here, and then it will flip over to an undead version of itself. Now the interesting thing about the version of itself is while they can't kill it with a Revivify or a Phoenix Down, it can be instant deathable, is that correct?
Yeah, so some of the bosses in the vanilla game, they did not have the immune to instant death bit set, and this is one of them. Because meaning the developers figured that, oh, it's not a big deal, we can just have the undead property set. And that'll take care of the immunity to instant death. But that's unfortunately not how it worked there. And it looks like Drinks Glue must have... No, he's at 21 checks, so he has not gotten Kefka Tower skip yet. So he's going to take one more dragon, and he's going to be right where Taco Mage is right now. So buckle in, folks. Anything can happen.
Now, and I have also noticed that Drink's Glue has embraced this Auto Berserk, and I am loving it.
Yeah, a bit dangerous. So, with Auto Berserk, you not only don't have control of your characters, but as we were talking about earlier, you can't summon espers or cast spells, which is one of the reasons why you look for things like Siren or Mute or Instant Death for the final boss. So he is going to be able to go faster on the final boss because the fight command is the fastest thing that you can do, and your characters will act as soon as their ATB is up. However, it comes at the cost of not being able to, instant death some things, mute some things, and most importantly, combat the instant death counterattacks that the bosses might throw at you. So, we'll see what happens, and here is the skip in action, and I believe One Free Fits is also going for his own skip, putting his team in the middle party to take on the dragon, which does count as a check.
Up, and here we go with Taco Mage using that instant death X-Zone spell to get rid of the second half of that Senior Behemoth that was really giving him trouble.
Whew. We have survived that, and if we did not survive that fight, we would have to do that entire walk all over again. That is one of the scariest parts in the entire run, because you're able to lose minutes off of your time there if things do not go correctly.
Alright, we see our, I believe this is our first actual statue boss, and it is Ifrit.
Yeah, this one could also be a problem. However, we do have Ice 3, so that's going to make this fight not a non-issue. Well, I say that, but...
Poor Locke.
Oh, no.
Taco...
Oh, no. We only went and did it, Dwyer.
We did it. Commentator cursed.
Oh, so Doom Gaze will start off the fight with a level 5 Doom spell. That basically will kill any party member whose level is a multiple of 5. And then throughout the fight here, he will cast Doom on one of your party members. He also does these AoE fractional health damage spells. And he also will do very powerful ice magic. That's not going to be a problem for Umaro with the Snow Muffler, who absorbs ice. But that will be a problem for Cyan, who is a sneeze away from dying here.
Yeah, but if Cyan just stays up in the air, it won't be a problem for him either.
Ooh, nice block on the Doom. Yeah, so it looks like Cyan has got that Dragon Horn on, and I believe he's jumping with fixed ice, because if the AI does not pick jump and instead picks fight, that means that Drink's Glue Cyan will still actually be doing some damage there. So very nice rolls there from the fixed ice, and that's going to do it for Doom Gaze. Really nicely done.
Yes. So now we get to see what is awaits at the last statue fight, correct? So we've seen 2 now?
Yeah, so Taco Mage has 2 of the 4 bosses down. Drink's Glue has 1 of the 4 bosses down. But there are 3 different bosses. So let's see what we have on the right-hand side, as we are going to see Umaro going toe-to-toe with Doom Gaze. We'll see who comes out on top here.
Ooh.
One Free Fits did get... I think the flags had Kefka Tower skip at 21 checks instead of 22, which is going to be a problem that I'll have to fix for the real deal. Unfortunately, Taco Mage knows that his Umaro is level 35, so he's going to have to do something else here for this fight. Oh, and Gao is also level 30, so that was a definite wipe.
Yeah, absolutely. So I bet he's going to take that Moogle Charm off and possibly take a grind fight, maybe?
Yeah, so again, this is just giving more and more time over to Drink's Glue. He has to get off of level 35 and 30, so he has to take a grind fight, and then he has to save.
Absolutely, because if he were to try to reset out and reform his parties, that would just be way too much of a time loss at this point. That's not even an option.
Yeah, because he'd have to walk back through the tower in its entirety again. Because he only has 17 out of the, I guess, 21. 21 checks for skip.
Now, this is not the greatest grind fight.
No, that timer is going to be a problem. We were talking about gambling all seed. Gao is literally trying to throw money at the problem here.
I mean, that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
That's how you make your problems go away?
So one of the interesting things about Gao, in the vanilla game, he has Leap and he has Rage. So in Worlds Collide, we randomize both Leap and Rage into 2 other commands. And Leap is not something that is in the pool. So how the Rage command works in Worlds Collide is if you fight an enemy, you automatically get them added to your Rage list. Alright, so here goes nothing. Come on, Yeti. We gotta finish this fight real fast. Sun's going down there, big guy.
Sun's getting real low.
This has got to do it here, or else this is a reset. Oh my goodness.
Oh, there we go.
The clutch, Yeti. Alright, so unfortunately, Gao did not gain any levels from that fight because he was technically considered dead. So that means that Taco Mage still only has one of his 2 party members as a non-multiple of 5. So we'll see if he decides to take yet another grind fight. Meanwhile, we're going to see what this right statue is, and it is... Ugh. This is also another rude boss in Kefka's Tower.
You know, this boss is the epitome of glass cannon. It doesn't have a lot of HP, but man, it can sure be scary.
Yeah, this is my least favorite boss in the game, because it can just decide to kill you in one shot if it really wants to.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either. Although my least favorite has to be Inferno.
Yeah, Inferno's enough. Any multi-part boss in Worlds Collide where it's actually fighting fair is just not fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
One Free Fit's getting his math test, and he does survive. And we'll see how Taco does with this. This boss is weak to lightning, so Bolt Beam is the elemental weakness. However, Edgar doesn't have a lot of magic power. Because remember, we do have 50% to 125% as our stat roll. Alright, so here's Drinks Glue fighting this Air Force. And his party is Berserk, so he has to hope to hit the right parts of this boss.
Exactly. This is where what you were saying earlier about not being able to control characters really comes into play, because it's a crapshoot about which part of that these dice are going to hit.
Alright, One Free Fit's effectively cutting through Doomgaze's very high magic defense with Flare. You would like to use a faster spell than Flare, but at 6,000 a cast, it's going to be at least somewhat effective, so this won't be a problem. It is now a race between Taco Mage fighting Doomgaze and then Drinks Glue hoping to hit the right part of this boss before it kills him, and we'll see who comes out on top here. Alright, Fitz is down with his Doomgaze fight, so he has 3 more bosses to take care of here. This is a very, very close race. I know, Dwyer, I paid for the seat, but all I need is the edge right now. Let's see if we can get this Doomgaze fight done and dusted.
I mean, I have complete faith in the Yeti.
Well, whether or not you have faith in the Yeti doesn't mean that he can't die from a random doom out of nowhere.
Oh, why would you ever say that? This will never happen.
Oh no, this is real bad.
Yep, that is a reset.
Yeah, the Atma weapon will deal less damage as you have less and less HP, and that WN taking fractional damage to our characters means that we're going to have to figure it out, and it looks like Taco Mage is done bashing his head against the wall and is going to walk back into Kefka's Tower. I think that firmly gives Drinks Glue the advantage here in our race.
Yeah, I believe so too. And it looks like he is going to stack a full party on that left side. Is it left side? Right side.
Yeah, yes.
Left side.
Left side. God, Doom statue.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yep. Meanwhile, SR Behemoth not getting nearly as feisty with our other two runners. I'm glad that we did get to showcase off his mean streak, though. Love when that happens.
No, absolutely. As long as it doesn't happen to you. Now, Drinks Glue has gotten his switches, and he is about to start his final Kefka fight.
Yeah, so even though Drinks Glue is into Kefka first, all of his characters are uncontrollable, right? So there, with Final Kefka, is a very intricate and intense battle. It's 4 different tiers. If one of your party members is dead on the transition from one tier to another, you lose that character for the duration of the fight. In Vanilla, that's not normally a problem because you have a deep bench, but in Worlds Collide, Cyan and Edgar are not going to help out too much in case things go south. And tier number 1 has a special order of operations that you want to kill the different parts of this boss in. Do you want to sort of explain how this part of the fight is supposed to go?
I will be happy to. So, in this tier, we have Face, which is up on top. We have Long Arm, which is the arm that you can see fully. And then we have Short Arm, which is in the back. Now, Long Arm is susceptible to instant death. So, Break, X-Zone, Doom, you can instant kill that. Face, you definitely want to take out before you take out Short Arm. And he is susceptible to fire. The reason why you want to take him out is because if he is left standing last, or if he is taken out at the same time as one of the other pieces, he can quake your party, and that can really be bad, because we don't have a whole lot of defense against that. Yeah. Now, the Short Arm... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and also, we can't heal up our party after it happens, right? He's got enough HP to possibly tank a quake, but we can't heal our party, so... It's going to be that much worse going forward.
Exactly, and especially since he can't heal his party at all, not even if we transition tiers. Now, it does look like he has a whole bunch of cure rings on, so that's an interesting take to being able to keep your HP up a little bit.
Yeah, it's a good heads-up play if you know that this is a strategy you're going to, but we are going to find this Quake here, and we're going to say goodbye to Locke. F's in the chat for Locke. It's been nice knowing you.
Absolutely.
So, do you reset here, or do you keep going? I mean, Glue has sort of put the controller down now, right? It's like he's playing, like, AFK Arena.
I mean, at this point, he's taking it all the way. He's doing it for the fans. You might as well keep going, because you don't have any other strategy other than this.
Yeah, I wonder if he has a peace ring somewhere in his inventory, or if he just, you know, threw caution to the wind. Alright, we do have a Cyan coming in as a backup. The good thing about finding our characters late is our characters will join at the average of your party level. So that's why Cyan, even though we didn't find him until the very end of the seed, he still has a decent chunk of HP and will be at a decently high level. Alright, so let's talk about Tier 2. There's 4 different parts of this boss. There is the guy that just got damaged. That's called Magic, pointing off to the left there, is susceptible to mute and can only cast magic. So we can take care of him if we wanted to. There's Tools in the middle, which does sort of those Magitech type of commands. Out comes one here. That can be instant death, so we can take care of that as well. Then there's the blue guy, and that is hit. And just as the name implies, he will do physical damage, and he will death counter with 10 hits. And then there's Tiger, who just casts this freezing ability, and has a lot of other nasty spells, including potentially turning your characters into zombies, which would be horrific for some of these builds. I'm looking at the fixed dice here.
Well, and again, in Drinks Glue's position, he can't come back from that. He can't reverse it. There's no item usage, there's nothing. So he's just gonna, it's a hope and a prayer right now.
And usually there is also another order of operations that you want to kill this part of the game, and you usually want to take out Tiger first because he has sort of the nastier of the spells there. And then obviously you want to nullify Tools and Magic if you can with Instant Death and Mute. And then save hit for later, but the order of operations is not nearly as important in this tier as it was on Tier 1, and definitely not as important as it is on Tier 3 rather, sorry.
Absolutely, and we've got Fitz, who has also done his switches and is about to enter his Kefka fight.
Oh, Magic, what are you doing, man? So Magic, when he has under 10,000 HP of his 41,000, will start doing stuff like this, where he'll counterattack with potentially a quarter, and then potentially 2 instances of Dispel, which will remove any positive status ailments your party might have. Like, let's say if you casted Life 3 on your party, that would go away here. And Cyan is in danger of dying here. Please hold on, Cyan. Oh, the clutch miss.
At this point, this is where you're praying to RNGesus.
Oh, Morrow is down too. This is not looking good. Speaking of death, Taco Mage is fighting Doomgaze now. And it looks like Locke has hit the deck already. He's been dead. He's been dead. He has been dead most of the game for Taco. Because I think he was the one that was uncursing the shield, right? So
yes,
this is like a go home, Locke. You're drunk type moment.
Absolutely. Just stay down, Locke.
All right. So Fitz has a couple of or I think he has Umaro as Berserked. Yeah. But he does have the control of 3 of his other 4 characters. So we're going to see a bit of a different Final Kefka from one Free Fitz. We'll see what I'll say is probably a more traditional one, where he's trying to instant death the long arm and take out the head first with fire. And wow, Magic is just not playing games here.
Magic, you are being rude.
Oh, and Tiger is still alive? Oh, boy. Yeah, so Hit is dead, because we did see the 10 hits, and Tools is dead. But, alright, so now Magic is finally gone, and we just got to worry about Tiger now.
Yeah, but that is not the best one to have to worry about.
Alright.
And this is it. Alright.
11 HP in a dream for Cyan.
I mean,
Shaban coming in with the comment of the stream so far. More quarters than an arcade. Gotta love it.
Oh, that is a great comment. I have to say, I am definitely on the edge of my seat here. This is a great Kefka fight. Not for glue, but it's great to watch.
Yeah, so out comes Merton, so an AoE wind and fire attack, and thankfully that healed most of his party. So thank you very much, Tier 3, for giving me some HP back. Probably thanks to a couple of those flame shields there. Now, this is Tier 3. You want to talk us through what is normally supposed to happen on Tier 3?
Okay, so Tier 3 is comprised of 2 things. You have Girl, which is the female figure in the back with the star above the head. And then you have Sleep, which is the lounging, lazy guy. Who is actually not so lazy because he gets really nasty. Now, Girl has 10,000 HP, but absorbs all elements. She also can cast Life 3, and she can heal. Ouch. All the others. Sleep, on the other hand, has 40,000 HP. You usually want to get him to about 29k and then start being careful because he will start to counter with Meteo or Train. Now, we didn't even get that far.
No.
Or we did get that far, but we got that far really quickly. And his last move is Calmness, which is an instant physical death attack. Normally, you would have Espers to protect yourself from that, or spells. But on Glue's side, since we've got all Berserkers, we got none of that. And as you can see, it hit twice, or it hit once at least. And now we're in Final Kefka with 2 characters.
Yeah, so we can't bring characters back off the bench to go for a second time around here. So we got Final Kefka, 60,000 HP, and here will be the interesting part. He will cast Fallen 1 on his first turn, bring our party down to 1 HP. Those Cure Rings are going to have to put in work here. When he gets under 30,000 HP is when he'll start counterattacking with things like Hyperdrive and Havoc Wing, which are the strongest single target magic or physical damage in the entire game. He will charge for Goner, which is this move right here, and it's going to kill Glue unless he kills Kefka after a couple of turns here. And unfortunately, Setzer forgot how to roll his dice here.
Yeah, we really needed hot hand Setzer here.
So what would happen is you would eventually get Kefka down to around 10,000 HP and watch out for Ultima counters, which is the most devastating thing that can happen to your party in that particular case, right? So unfortunately we didn't get that far because of the lack of healing after the Goner phase. Kefka will not counter during Goner, so that's the time when you throw all of your spells and shields and everything at him. So unfortunately, Drinks Glue, with the commitment to the Berserk, could not take it down there, so he's going to go for a second try. And that brings 1 free fifths into the advantage, into the lead now. Oh man, this is like, I feel like I'm watching the NASCAR playoffs here with the amount of lead changes we've got.
I mean, this has been great. And I love seeing the different play styles that we've had here, between Glue fully embracing that auto Berserk, to Taco Mage really trying to do that Paladin shield, and then Fitz just kind of sailing through this, chill as always.
Yeah, a bit of a long game for Fitz, especially with gaining levels. He does have 2 of his characters being berserked. He's got that Cyan with the Dragon Horn, he's got the Umaro, but he does have both Shadow and Edgar as characters he can control. So that's why, you know, we're kind of seeing a more traditional Kefka from him so far. Taking out Girl first with that one swing of the Atma weapon there. And now we're seeing Golem, which is something that can protect against that instant death physical attack that we saw earlier.
You know, as much as I was really happy to see like the full Berserk going into Kefka's Tower, I'm really glad that we're also able to showcase how you're more traditionally gonna beat this fight.
Yeah, so here's something interesting, is that Golem will protect you for the amount of HP the caster has, and Umaro was supposed to get hit for 2,900 damage, and Shadow only has 1,800 HP. So he doesn't have Golem for this calmness, but thankfully, Cyan blocked it anyway. Oh my goodness.
That was clutch.
That was another wild moment. Holy cow.
Okay, you know Fitz has got to be like, just wiping off some sweat there.
Yeah, I mean, so calmness can happen once or twice, and thankfully it only happened once and it was blocked. But I think if it happened once and it didn't get blocked, in other words, if Cyan would have died there, I still think he would have been okay going into this final Kefka fight. You can do final Kefka with 3 characters. It's when you have 2 or 1 good character that things get real dicey and you get into a lot of trouble.
Now that's absolutely true. However, Fitz also doesn't know where anybody else is in this race. So at an hour 36, you know, these runners are used to seeing times that are a lot lower than that. And while these are special flags, you gotta be wondering, where are the other people at right now?
Yeah, Glue unfortunately lost 2 characters on tier 1, so it looks like he's going to start over again. And out comes the hyperdrive from Kefka, so that means we're under 30,000 HP. Here comes the charge up for Goner. We're going to throw our shields. We're going to do our most powerful attacks here on this phase of Kefka. Thankfully, Cyan coming through with some big ups, and the Pearl proc as well.
Oh, you love to see it.
Wow, Cyan is usually not one to, you know, carry the squad there, but that was really nicely done. And with the flash,
GG's.
final Kefka has finished. His time, according to the race room, was 1:36:15. I don't know why my timer is so off, but that is our winner. So get your GGs out for 1 free fits. Normally,
well done, Fitz.
Normally what we do is we try and get our runners in for an interview to ask them about, you know, some different things about the seed. So we're going to go ahead and try and get Fitz in here. I'm going to switch back over to Taco Mage. So what is Taco Mage up to here?
Well, Taco Mage is on his tier 2. He's got a dead gal. But it looks like he's just firing away with those ice 3s and getting through it.
Somebody in the chat said that the timer was not corrected for daylight savings. Well played. Well played, Dr. DT.
Speaking of well played, welcome in, Fitz. That was great.
That was a fun. Those are some fun settings. I had a good time.
Yes. Yeah, so
well, I have.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dwyer.
No. Go ahead. I was just going to say we were on the edge of our seats for all of this.
So tell us a little bit about your strategy, knowing that you're going to have to get 6 characters, 9 espers, do a couple of things that you normally don't do in a speed run, and your thoughts on getting the sprint shoes by doing the quests. Did you think you were going to make up enough time? You know, stuff like that. Give us your overall strategy going into this set of options.
Yeah, so like I think overall my early plan, because the Coliseum was wide open in terms of all rewards visible. So I wanted to go around and accumulate junk, basically. So I would have more chances to get stuff out of the Coliseum, especially starting with the Yeti. With the monster in the box chance, I planned to not intentionally take a grind, and I figured I would run into them in my early looting, and I did. And then I planned to do the sprint shoe objective along the way, figuring that having like an hour plus of B dash time would save me an auction plus injured lad amount of time. I don't really know if it does, but I also just like B dash. I was like, I want it.
Yeah, it's good to show. It's good to show it off anyway. So you heard it here first, folks. If you have a garage sale, make sure that Drinks Glue comes on down. He wants your junk. So yeah, with the new Morrow and 1 character start, were you sort of worried about how linear the seed potentially was going to be?
Yeah, that's always a concern, that it's going to be a Kefka at Narsh character situation. And I went like kind of everywhere but Floating Continent and Kefka at Narsh. And so at that point I had enough spell power on Shadow that I figured that I could kind of just get through anything. Plus I had dice kicking around.
Early dice is always a good thing. So just want to cut in and update you on the race that's going on now. Taco Mage, I think, is out of Phoenix Downs and has no way to get this gal back up. Drinks Glue was running with an all-berserked party, and one of his characters died, and now Setzer was brought in, who has a peace ring and is using Blitz and Mantra to heal, but he also has lockdown on tier number 2. So with a berserked, you decided to go half your party berserk, half not berserked. Was that something that you intended, or did you want to go maybe more berserked characters or less? What were sort of your reactions to what the seed gave you there?
Yeah, I think I wanted to go 3 berserk if possible. What ended up happening was, because Edgar had the Atma and was just not wanting to swing it, like he kept beaming, and it was like, no, dude, like you can swing for max damage. I know it. So I felt like in the final battle in particular, as well as his lane, I was like, I want you to actually do this every turn, so you get a peace ring now. Those eggs were big. That like certainly filtered into like, I'm gonna run 3 berserkers. I finally got a jumper going, which they won't always jump, but that's why I had them in the front row. And I was really light on armor. I was kind of scared as I was getting closer to the tower, but I found it like a snow muffler I could buy so that I could get my front row people a little bit better protection heading into the final boss. And then I just tried to kind of manage around the berserk characters' turns on the climb, and it never really got too hairy going up. So it was Drinks running. Was he running full berserk the entire time?
Most of the time, yes.
Yep, he sure was.
Did he wipe on like?
Yeah, he
Kefka
wiped,
climb.
Yeah, he wiped on final Kefka because For tier 1, he lost one party to Quake. Tier 2, he lost somebody, or tier 3 rather, he lost somebody to Calmness. So we only have 2 characters at the end, which is not enough to do damage to skip Goner. He's got Cure Rings on or Marvel Shoes, but that's not enough damage to come back from Fallen 1 and resist a Goner, right? So that sort of is what happened. Dwyer, do you have any questions for Fitz?
You know, you pretty much answered all the ones that I was going to ask. So, no, not really. But listen, I got to say that was a great run. I loved it. And, like, you guys all kind of went into Kefka around the same time. And just the way that it played out, you put on a great showing.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely felt like I was starting slow just because I kind of just did some more. Like, there was a lot more to do in the beginning, and so it felt like I took a little bit to get going. I will say I've seen, whenever the Coliseum is wide open, I've seen, like, Jex do this, where he'll spend, like, 20 minutes basically getting all the goods that you'll ever want, and then just like go from there. So I was definitely inspired a little bit by that. I got the egg and like a good spear. There wasn't any like mega swords for me in there, so it didn't really fully pay out the like Coliseum trip. I would call it like a like good success, but it wasn't the great success that I was hoping for.
So one of the things I always ask when we're doing marathon submissions is why Worlds Collide? Why do you enjoy playing Worlds Collide, and why do you think it'll be fun to showcase in a marathon type of setting?
I think it's a combination of like just one of my favorite games, and I realistically don't have 10 to 20 hours to play it like over and over again, so it offers like a condensed experience where I get to like do all the stuff pretty quickly. I also think for racing, because of the potential for like divergence and the different paths it can make for some exciting races, it's not really like clear right away who's in front, so oh no.
Yeah, throw your shield. Maybe he doesn't have the shield, so that's another unfortunate reset there for Taco Mage, who is going to take the forfeit there, while Drinks Glue brings it on home, 146-18. So get your GGs for Glue, who was able to finish it out there. So we'll try and get them both in here at the end.
Now here's what I'll say is that in the pre-race chat, I believe I agreed to keep the Yeti all the way, which I did, and do the auto berserk, which I did. And I don't see Terra on Drinks Glue's screen. I believe he told me he was definitely going to do Lee River, so I'm gonna say that that's a do not finish for Drinks Glue as well. In my eyes.
Well, Drinks Glue did pet the dog like 4 times, so I think that made up for it.
I mean, I got it once.
Yeah, that's all you need to do is just validate the seed once there. But yeah, excellent job on navigating this flag set. You got any other points that you want to make about Worlds Collide in general?
In general, yeah, it's a great time. We do have some mentored programs to help newer players get up to speed, and we've definitely been pretty regularly participating in the Final Fantasy I Randomizer marathon for the Burn Children's Funds. It was one of, I think, the first ones that I ran Worlds Collide in, and I've always had a great time doing it. So I'm excited and hopeful that we'll get to do it again.
Awesome. Well, thank you for volunteering to be a runner and for throwing your your hat in the ring there for helping out. Always appreciated. Can't have the races without the runners, and we'll see you on the next one, Fitz.
Yeah, have a good evening.
Have a great night.
We'll see if we can get some of our other runners in here to talk about what just happened. We'll drag in Taco Mage and Drinks Glue. So congratulations to both of you on eventually getting past Doomgaze and SR Behemoth and all the other fun that was had in this particular seed. So yeah, let's start with you, Drinks Glue, taking your entire party berserked into Final Kefka. Was that sort of your strategy from the beginning?
Yeah, if we go all the way back to 1986, from the day I was born, that was the moment I decided today and tonight.
Wait.
And that was the plan.
Wait. I have to ask, because Schwantz did bring this up a little earlier. Were there some shenanigans, like wheels and deals going on before this race happened, where everybody takes Yeti and everybody gets berserked?
There was nothing official, but I did promise Taco Maze that if I did not trigger the auto berserk, I would offer to put his children through college. And I don't have that type of money, so I had to come through on my word there. So.
And you definitely did. That was fun to watch.
Yeah. So Taco Mage, same question for you. Sort of, what was your strategy with some of these flags? I noticed you went right away to go get the sprint shoes with B-Dash from doing the checkpoint and doing the Zozo clock. Was that part of the overall strategy of let's go get this and then let's go do our stuff to get the rest of the seed underway?
Yeah, I mean, Dwayne said she wanted to see a lot of bonks, and I had to provide. So I did my best with my glitchy controller bonking off of everything with its random left-right inputs that it suddenly started doing about halfway through. It was really, but yeah, I mean, I always go for sprint shoes when it's an option, especially this particular flag set is what I like to call the Schwantz special, where you have sprint shoes B-dash, but then you also lock it behind an objective, and generally speaking, as long as I can do that within a couple of minutes, I feel like I can make it up with the B dash throughout the course of the seed. And it seems like we were all in Final Kefka about the same time, so it must have worked out at least kind of okay, even if nothing else I did worked out.
Yeah, for a while there, you all were kind of neck and neck, and then the Berserk shenanigans hit Glue, and then other shenanigans hit you, Taco, and Fitz just kind of sailed through, chill as can be. As he does.
Yeah, so I think yeah. Kefka's Tower was a bit of a nightmare for you, Taco Mage. You were the first one in the tower, but also the SR Behemoth with the Meteo, followed by Goner counterattacks, which are always fun.
Yeah.
And then that Doom Gaze on the one side, just, you know, you decided, hey, I need to warp out and go take this on there. Is that something you usually do when you beat your head against the wall a few times, or did you just say, you know what, I may have made the wrong decision here when I split up my party?
Well, I've taken enough losses in races to bullheadedly trying to push through a statue, knowing that I will eventually RNG through, and I've decided to stop doing that because I've wrecked some decent times spending 15-20 minutes RNGing through like Goddess statue or something. So I gave it I gave Yeti the Atma weapon and decided I would give him one try, and if he didn't do it, I would warp out and rewalk it. Since I had the sprint shoes, I figured it wouldn't be that much of a time loss.
Yeah, and so Glue, I think you were having some a little bit of struggles early on in the game. You want to walk us through sort of what you did to sort of stabilize yourself there and get back on your feet.
When you auto berserk yourself, hopefully you can find some better weapons. And the fixed dice were nice, but they were going to scale off. without an offering. So it was, I was really hoping there was one in Ancient Castle. It wasn't one in Ancient Castle. That all the other spots it wasn't. So that was a little bit of a bummer. I knew I was going to probably be fine getting to the Kefka fight, but without that one character that could just smash everything away in a turn, I was going to be in trouble there. So it's unfortunate the offering wasn't in the neighborhood for the way I went through the seed.
Yeah, I know you've done some solo challenge runs before, so you've definitely prepped characters for, usually in Worlds Collide, we always focus on offense, because the best defense is a good offense. If you kill the boss in 2 turns, then they don't have enough time to deal you a lot of damage, but when you have berserked characters, you have to focus on your defense a little bit, right? So tell us about some of the things you did to mitigate sort of the berserk on your final party composition there.
I actually had really good defense under normal circumstances. Like normally, Flame Shield and Behemoth Suits are just fine. Or actually, they're awesome. But when I'm having Marble Shoes already, the Force Shield loses all of its usefulness. Behemoth Suit, I knew where Snow Mufflers were. So if I had a redo card, I went and got some more Snow Mufflers. But when you can't really heal, that Force Shield and that's negated and that Behemoth Suit aren't that great. So you need things like Flame Shield and Snow Mufflers that are going to wipe away the boss's turns, so that 10 hits, turns into 3 hits, because 2 or 3 of your characters, it just does 1 damage, and then Flame Shield or Elemental Shields can take away a couple of the turns that can throw out there. So you just got to kind of eliminate the turns when you don't have control of your party, so you can have a little more survivability.
Yeah, because that Merton heal came in clutch on tier 3.
Yeah, that was the only reason I didn't reset there, is because I knew if he Mertens, he's gonna get 2 turns where he can do an AoE if he does Merton on 1 or 2 of them. That's fantastic. Unfortunately, he did on both of them.
Yeah, so Dwyer, you have any other questions for either Glue or Taco?
Well, honestly, I'm kind of just going to repeat the question that you did for Fitz. What are your, feelings and thoughts on being part of a marathon submission for the Final Fantasy Randomizer and all that goes with that?
I will let Taco go first.
Okay. Well, first, I guess most importantly, I really like to show off Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, especially in a big marathon setting. I think it has a lot to offer that other randomizers don't. Specifically, one, it's not a key item hunt like most randomizers are, or a utility item hunt, as it were. So it approaches the randomization in a much different way that you don't see very much in like the randomizer sphere as a whole. The other thing I think shows off really well about Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide is that it has the objective system, which makes it incredibly versatile in what you can do with the randomizer itself. There are a lot of different ways you can craft seeds that are way outside of kind of what you normally see with, like, you can change the randomness and the difficulty a little bit, but there's not as much control over like changing what a quest can do for you, or maybe what your end goal is. So I think those 2 things make it a really good randomizer to show off, and I really like showing people it because I do feel it's very different.
Well said, well said.
Yeah, kind of the same thing for me. My personal favorite thing about Final Fantasy VI is Final Fantasy VI is one of my favorite games. And growing up and then through the years, I always like, experiment with different things on each playthrough, whether that's, just, getting all of the rages and trying to challenge yourself to use those throughout the gameplay. You can kind of do stuff like that in Worlds Collide, but it doesn't take you 40 hours. You can get all of that down in a nice little condensed experience. So in a brief period of time, you can, throw some different challenges at yourself that are Final Fantasy VI related, and do whatever you want. Everybody likes to play the game a little different, enjoy the game a little different. Some people like to speedrun it. Some people like to experiment with it. Some people like to try to break it. So whatever your cup of tea is, it's there for you.
And some people just want to put their controller down to fight the final boss, huh?
Yep.
But yeah,
did you?
I'm sorry.
That was like the ultimate coffee break, Glue.
Yeah, that's also one of those things. I really like about doing stuff like that is it really helps you learn the final boss script because you can sit there and watch everything go in slow motion, and you're not thinking about what you have to do. You're just kind of reacting, and you can really start to figure out the boss scripts. You see them in action. It's really cool when you start telling yourself, "Oh, this is what's coming," and you're right because you know that's where you're at in the script.
Huh. I have never actually thought about that, but that's pretty. That's a good way to look at that.
Yeah, so I kind of piggybacked off of an idea, for this submission that Taco Mage sort of hosts a Living Seed weekly sort of event in our Discord where every week the runners get to pick a couple of different options that they change, and the new settings get to carry over from the previous week, and then you get to change a couple more settings. And by the end of a few weeks, it sort of gets, wild and crazy here. So, when you were picking your flags, I know we sort of talked about this already as being something I like to do with the B-Dash stuff, but, does doing these type of seeds, Taco, make you think about the game in that sort of way of, hey, I get to really learn all the different things that you could do with Worlds Collide?
Absolutely, and to plug the Living Seed, I think it's a great little low-key weekly race that, because of all the different things people will throw in there, you will learn a lot about the game that doesn't come into play that often in like our main race scene, which is Ultras League, but it can give you those little niche bits of information that you hit a situation that you maybe would not have known how to get through, but you did all this weird stuff and then you're prepared for it. A good example is like if you control the bombs with Flame Eater, you can have them use Explode on Flame Eater and do damage that way. So if you have very little in the way to damage Flame Eater, but you have control, you can do that. And there are all kinds of those little tiny bits of information that you can pull out of the game just by going off the beaten path and trying new things. And again, Living Seed is a great place to do it because we're all friendly there. We love seeing new people, and there isn't a flag that we are afraid to try.
Yep, well said. So thank you guys so much for volunteering to be part of the marathon submission. Great job on the race as well. I will definitely correct the fact that the skip was 21 checks instead of 22. Whoops. That one must have slipped by all of the shenanigans with the flag settings that we got at the last minute. But really appreciate it. Can't have the race without the runners. So thank you so much, Taco Mage. Thank you so much, Drinks Glue. And, we'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, Dwight. So that was the Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide randomizer submission for our lovely Final Fantasy I randomizer winter marathon. So hopefully we get chosen for the marathon. I certainly would enjoy watching sort of these options happen again. That would be a lot of fun, I personally think. You got any other final thoughts we want to chat about before we say goodbye?
Now hold on a second. You just said watching. You mean you wouldn't play?
Yeah, I mean, if it came down, push came to shove, But then that means I'd have to figure out 3 different settings that I would like to change, and I don't know. Taco kind of stole my thunder. No, I'm just kidding. I'm certainly down to play as a 4th runner, but I also like talking and watching, and I like sort of watching the destruction fold out as it happens too, right?
Well, absolutely. I think we were actually hoping for a lot of that in this seed.
Well, we did at least will one of the bosses we wanted to see into existence in Kefka's Tower, so I'll consider that a win in our book as well. We did great job on commentary, I think, trying to make our runners sweat there. So, any other final words about what you think of the Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide randomizer that we haven't sort of talked about already?
Well, we've talked a lot about the randomizer itself. I kind of want to sidestep a little bit. As being relatively new to the community, I think it's 3 months now-ish. What I really want to talk about is just how wonderful and welcoming and helpful the community is. I've been a part of, this is now my second randomizer community, and I have to say, these people are amazing. So anybody out there that would really like to, try one of their favorite games for the nostalgia value or just for something new, we're the people to do it with. So definitely go to the Discord, say hi, and just have fun with it, because honestly, that's the best part about it.
Yeah, well said. Couldn't have agreed more myself. Our community is really fun, welcoming. We also like to crack some jokes here and there, and just are a really good time. There's a lot of great people that do a lot of great things, and hopefully we can help out with the great cause that the Final Fantasy Randomizer Winter Marathon will be helping out as well. I think that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for hanging out, and really appreciate you watching our submission, and consider us to be part of your marathon block. That'll do it for us.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
Have
much,
a good night.
as well, for doing commentary with me. Really appreciate it. That was a lot of fun.
Anytime, it was a pleasure.
All right. We'll catch y'all later.
Bye-bye.
Peace out now.